Welcome to Movie Caps. Today I will show you a drama, mystery, sci-fi film from 2015, titled Project Almanac. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. High school senior genius, David is testing an experiment with his friends Adam and Quinn. The video is for a scholarship to MIT University. David shows off an aircraft he made that he can control with a material placed on his fingers. The gang sets the craft loose outside when someone calls David's phone, jamming the signal on Quinn's laptop to connect with the craft. The craft plummets to the ground and crashes. Still, the experiment was a complete success in David's eyes. A few weeks later, David's sister, Christina, is the camera operator and is filming as David gets an envelope from MIT. He gathers with Christina and their mom Kathy, along with Adam and Quinn, to open it. David gets into MIT, but to his disappointment, he only receives $5,000 instead of the proposed $45,000. At school, we learn that David has a crush on a girl named Jessie Pierce. Back home, David and Christina discover that Kathy is trying to sell the house to help her son with MIT tuition. David is rummaging through the attic, trying to find one of his father's ideas to submit for reappraisal for the scholarship to MIT. Christina comes upstairs and they find a videotape of David's 7th birthday party. It was the last day the two saw their dad Ben before he died in a car crash. The two look at the video. David notices something strange. He, in his current age, is physically visible in the video. He shows the tape to Adam and Quinn. Both of them are surprised. Christina still tries to find some logic in this, but then David shows his shirt. He is wearing the same shirt as in the video. David obsesses over the video and notices details like a blue stain on his shirt and holding keys with a ballerina figure keychain. He looks in his bag and notices he's actually holding Jessie's bag. David goes over to return it to her and awkwardly tries to talk to her. He returns the bag, and she congratulates him on getting into MIT. The gang retraces the steps from the old video footage to see what David was doing in it. They find a light switch to the basement. They go downstairs and uncover a secret hatch in the floor containing blueprints for a temporal relocation prototype or a time machine. At first David himself thinks that this is crazy, they can't build a time machine, but then Quinn says they already built it considering the old videotape. The boys get excited and begin to gather the materials they need from Home Depot to build it. Initially the machine appears to be working, creating electromagnetic energy, then it all goes haywire. They learn how to control the time machine navigation with the help of a graphics processor from Quinn's Xbox. They are having fun while building the time machine. David points out that with the charge they have now, the furthest they can go back in time is 3 weeks. They manage to activate something that causes objects in the basement to levitate, water in a glass to whirlpool, and as Quinn puts his hand on the time machine primary device, his hand is traveling between space-time. Unfortunately, the batteries keep short-circuiting. David's shirt gets stained the same way as in the old videotape. They deduce that they are close to finishing the machine, motivating the gang even after a failed attempt. After a few failed tests, they conclude that they need hydrogen for power fusion. Since you can't legally obtain it as teenagers, they decide to steal hydrogen canisters from the school to charge their batteries properly. The group doesn't have a power source big enough to supply the device. A party is happening next door. Jessie brings her car and parks it in David's driveway. They decide to hook up their cables to Jessie's car battery to test their next experiment. They are trying to send Christina's red toy Corvette 1 minute back in time. They manage to activate the machine. Just as Jessie comes in, she sees what they're doing to her car. The room begins to shake, and objects start floating, and then all the power on the street goes out. When the lights go back on, the gang sees that the toy car did go through the time and it somehow fused to the wall, and it went back 2 hours. They look at the GoPro that they attached to the car and see that it was already sitting there recording them as they set up the machine. At school, David makes a sketch of the time machine in a backpack to carry it with them. In the meantime, Quinn flops his chemistry test. After seeing Jessie's keychain, she joins the gang as they show her David's birthday video and prove what they can do. They get together that night in the neighborhood, and after tinkering with the machine, they attempt to go back 24 hours. After setting up GoPro to film everything, they activate the machine and jump through time. The gang is left deafened and disoriented for a brief moment trying to come back to their senses. They then run to Quinn's home, where Quinn was sleeping the previous night. Quinn draws a smiley face on his sleeping self's neck. Past Quinn then rolls over and wakes up and sees his future self. This causes a glitch in time, and the two of them start to disappear. The gang runs out of there and then excitedly jumps for the fact that they have successfully time-leapt. When they get back to the area where they made the jump, they find a dog. As they drive through the streets, they notice many missing dog flyers that weren't there earlier. They return the dog to its rightful owner. Jesse drives everyone home. David tries to kiss her in the car, but he interrupts it, and the exchange becomes awkward. They start to imagine the possibilities of their newfound ability and decide to utilize it for personal matters as long as they all time jump together. Quinn uses it to do his chemistry test until he finally aces it. The third time was the charm. Christina uses it to catch Sarah moments after she caused Christina to spill her drink, only for future Christina to show up and purposely spill drinks on Sarah, humiliating her and declaring, "I'm everywhere, bitch." Adam has the gang time jump so they can win the lottery. However, he only got 5 out of the 6 numbers right, and after taxes, they only make $1.8 million. They are saddened because the main prize was $53 million. The gang goes on a spending spree. Quinn uses the money to buy himself a cool car. David gives Kathy money so she doesn't have to sell the house. Christina goes shopping. Also, David orders better parts for the time machine to extend their time leap to 10 years. Quinn brings a food truck line to the school and feels proud when his name is chanted. During class, David pulls the gang out of class to meet under the bleachers. They jump to 3 months ago for Lollapalooza. They are having the time of their life, everything is possible, and there are no consequences. They watch their favorite bands play and even score VIP passes, after getting them cheaply on eBay in the present, to go backstage and hang with the band. They hang on water slides and party all day. Before the day is over, David goes over to Jesse as she checks out the wall that says, "Before the world ends." With some things people would do. Jesse drops huge hints to David, like going to the statement that reads, "Before the world ends, I wanna fall in love." David misses the chance to make his move, making him regret that. Christina and Adam hook up. David depressingly calls off the whole thing, and they jump back to the present, where only 41 seconds have passed. David and Jesse keep their distance. The present started to change. Kathy was jobless, but suddenly David and Christine discovered she has a job. Christine's arch-nemesis Sarah is her best buddy, and Quinn has over 18,000 Instagram followers. After rewatching the video from the music festival, David, frustrated with this outcome, jumps back alone to Lollapalooza, even though they made ground rules to always jump together no matter what. He makes his move on Jesse. He kisses her and then returns to the present. He's in his room and tries calling Jesse, only to see her phone is on his desk. She emerges from the bathroom wearing only a towel. David asks her if they had sex. She says yes. The two become an item. David notices odd things. Kathy never was hired for her job position. At the school basketball captain, Justin has a broken leg. The chemistry teacher is fired. Sarah walks by David crying. There's a banner hung up that reads Titans basketball, better luck next year. After school, David learns from Adam and Quinn that there was a plane crash that killed 77 people, including Sarah's dad, who was the pilot. The boys start to deduce that it's their fault, a ripple effect because Justin broke his leg, Titans didn't make it to playoffs, player parents didn't attend the game, and it kept escalating beyond their imagination. Everyone tries to convince David that they have to go back and make it, so they never went to Lollapalooza, meaning he and Jesse never happened. The gang meets up at night when David tells Adam that he jumped alone. Despite Adam telling him not to do it again, David jumps back alone to the night of the party. After he and the others killed the power when they time-leapt Christina's toy car, David runs into the street and pushes Justin out of the path of a car to prevent him from breaking his leg. The other partygoers hail him as a hero. David jumps back to the present and sees that not only did the team win the championship, but the plane landed safely. However, Adam lands in the hospital following an incident after the basketball game. David becomes increasingly anxious by the burden of trying to solve everything independently. He runs home and tries to figure out how to stop Adam from being hurt. He gets the machine ready when Jesse comes into the basement. They both jump through time, and David is forced to explain that he jumped alone to go back and make his move on her. Jesse is hurt and admits that she liked David since she first met him and would use the machine to go back and meet him sooner. Then, Jesse's past self comes by, and once they see each other, she completely vanishes into thin air, leaving behind only her car keys, which David grabs. Seeing no other way out, David decides he must jump all the way back to his 7th birthday to prevent the machine from ever existing. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any hydrogen left. Quinn goes to his home after Jesse goes missing. David explains the whole situation to him and apologizes for his mistake. The police then show up at David's home, suspecting him in Jesse's disappearance. David escapes his home and runs to the school, where he takes one more hydrogen canister. He fuels the machine just as the cops barge in, moments before he makes the jump. David goes back 10 years and makes it home. He sees himself in the mirror, right where the video first got him. He follows his dad to the basement, and they come face to face. Ben recognizes his son and realizes he got the machine to work. David tells him that there are no second chances and that they need to stop this. The two of them hug, and Ben leaves. David gathers all the components of the time machine and burns them. His body repeatedly flickers until he vanishes. David is back in the present, looking in the attic where Christina finds him. They find both of their dad's video cameras, which have footage of what they were doing and saying mere seconds ago. The gang is at school during the moment when David sees he has Jesse's bag. He goes over to give it to her with more confidence, and he repeats a statement that Jesse made to him the first time they spoke. When she asks how he knew what she was going to say, David leans in and says, "This is gonna sound crazy, but I think we're about to change the world." The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this.